Hello and welcome to Goodnight Faithful Friends, Episode 2, the podcast where we talk about all things in the Weeping Cedars universe. I'm your host, Joshua Wise. I write under the name JWG Wise because that's pretentious. So this is the second episode, and here you are with me listening to a podcast about a podcast with an interview in it, and at the end, I am going to do a review of a movie about a podcast that doesn't exist. So I saw Undertone yesterday. I'm really looking forward to talking about it because I spoiler, I really, really liked it, and I didn't expect to because it's about podcasts, and movies usually get things wrong a lot, like egregiously wrong, when you do anything technical. And I do have one tiny little niggling bit that I thought during the movie that took me out of it for about a half a second when I thought, oh, they should have done that, or they would have done that if they were doing a podcast like this. I'll talk about that in the review. But we have an interview today with Micaela Ramirez, who played Emily in Rod of Amber. She is an awesome up-and-coming artist, and you will hear several different things in this interview about the emails that had to be sent back and forth when she came onto the project, the sorts of projects that she's interested in now. There's a discussion about video games at the end and horror. So yeah, there's a lot in this interview. It's about an hour long, so I'm not going to ramble here at the beginning too much. I will say next episode will be an update episode. I have so many interviews lined up. Almost everybody has said yes. Only one person has said no so far due to scheduling. But I have some of your favorites are going to be on this podcast talking to me about their art outside of Weeping Cedars, and hopefully, what they think about art and what they think about horror. And maybe if you like horror in general, you get some recommendations if you like video games or YouTube shorts or anything like that. I will say quickly, as an update on the Discord, we are going to be getting together kind of a discussion group around like watching YouTube shorts and discussing them. Uh, we have about 5 people right now, which isn't like a lot, but it's probably a good manageable group at the moment. So if you're interested in that, go check out the Discord and join the group, and then we can all kind of talk about YouTube shorts together. I think maybe we'll get on Discord voice, watch the videos, and talk, so we can all talk with our voices and our ears together. So yeah, that should be fun. And this is your episodic reminder. If you have not read Lightning Falls or Shards of Amber, go out and check those out. They are books in the Weeping Cedars universe. If you liked Rod of Amber, hopefully you'll enjoy this interview, but hopefully you will also enjoy Shards of Amber, the book. And if you like Weeping Cedars and all the things in the universe, and you have not yet read Lightning Falls, go check it out. It is a very big book. It's a lot of bang for your buck, especially because, in my opinion, you'll probably have to read it multiple times to get all of it. And still, there's a lot that people have not discovered in that book, or if they have, they haven't told me. So check those out. And if you have read them, hey, drop them a review on Goodreads or Amazon or Spotify, wherever you got them. Drop them a review there. And if you got them directly from me, thank you. You can get signed copies of the books directly from me from weepingcedars.com/shop. You can get my signature on the books and your name put on them as if I wrote them for you. So if you've done that, though, you can review them on Goodreads. That's a really great place to help out. Not a lot of reviews out there yet, but they're growing slowly. So that's great. So with that being said, let's head over to the interview with Micaela, and we will be back with my review of Undertone. Hey, so I am here with Micaela Ramirez, who played Emily Carmichael in Rod of Amber. You are my first interview guest. Hello, Micaela.
Yay! Hi!
How's it going?
It's going very well. I just moved to New York City, so I'm very excited to get started up here.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly daunting. What borough did you move to?
I moved to Brooklyn.
Okay.
Brooklyn, I'm in the kind of actually I should probably not say where I
Probably
where
not
I
say too much
live.
where you are. I think
Too much.
Brooklyn is safe because there's
Brooklyn.
at least 100 people there. So like it'd
At
be
least.
really hard to find you. Um yeah, that's New York is one of those places that though I have visited it and I've had friends who've lived there, remains largely a mystery to me, except in the Spider-Man games where I know generally the layout because I can swing around it.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, so how long have you been there?
A month now. A month starting yesterday.
Okay.
So
Has it
yeah.
crushed your soul just yet?
Not quite.
Okay.
I'm still going. I still have the optimism in me.
Perfect. How many times have you watched Rent since you've been there?
I've actually never seen Rent. Isn't that crazy? And I have a
Wow.
two
Yeah.
younger kid. I've never seen Rent, and my little sister is like, "How? How have you not seen it?"
I recommend now that you're living in New York as an artist, that's probably a good thing to watch.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my that's my New Jersey recommendation as a non actor to an actor living in New York is to see Rent. Yeah, so you are my first guest, and so we're still working out the bugs in this process. So very likely I'll have to have you back in a year or so. One to catch up, and then two to do this properly. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I guess my thought with this was to introduce the audience of Weeping Cedars, Samite, Rod of Amber, and now the books to some of the performers who have been in the shows. The performers have to a greater and lesser degree, and I would say mostly lesser, been involved in the community. They sort of did the job and then moved on, as people often do. But I did want to kind of get in touch with people and see what they kind of where they're at in their careers and what they're doing and introduce their stuff to other people. Um, so I guess my first question is, how did you get into acting? What sparked you into doing the sort of thing where you would answer an ad to play a spooky murdered girl in a podcast, and then we could cut this out if you don't want me to say it, but so much that you were willing to have your mother email me to give permission to play this part when I was like, "Oh, you're 17. Oh, no, maybe that's not okay." And they were
Oh
like, "No,
no.
my mom's okay with me doing this." So,
I was so embarrassed because I didn't see that the description said adult
right,
only.
yeah, yeah.
I just saw the age range and I was like, "Oh, perfect." And then I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is fit for an adult." So it was like, "Mom, please." And she was like, "Don't worry about it. I got it."
And there's nothing like crazy that Emily does in that at all. It's just like the
Yeah.
context
It's
that
just like, yeah, the whole like part where everything happens to her.
right,
So
exactly, exactly.
the entire events of the audio drama.
I was
But
I was so meticulous in that too. I was like, all right, I need to look up this email address. I need to make sure that this person is a real person.
oh
I'm not
my
just getting
gosh,
gaslit. I was like, I
I
need to
know.
make sure that I'm not
That's
being
so
tricked.
true.
Um,
That's so true. It could have been a fake email. No, I'm too goody two shoes for that.
hmm
I'm too goody two shoes for that. But as for like getting started in
hmm
acting, I was actually a ballet kid first.
Okay.
So I did ballet, and I always loved to sing and kind of just dance around. And I wanted to know how to do both of that at the same time. My mom
Okay.
was like, "Well, I have an idea. Let's put you in theater." So I started out at this very I started out at this children's theater in Florida.
okay.
And it wasn't a great experience at all, and I ended up being there up until my junior year of high school.
Okay.
Um, it was a very toxic environment, and it's kind of a miracle I didn't, like, drop everything and quit right then and there.
Mm.
Um, but I think my love for it kind of overshadowed, um, all of the stuff that was going on. So, when I was in my senior year of high school, I was also dual enrolled at a community college,
Okay.
and I decided, like, this is my time. I'm gonna go out and do other things, and I'm gonna be successful on my own. And I landed a dream role of mine in the musical. I was Regina George
Oh
in
yeah.
Mean Girls the
Hmm.
musical, and then around the same time, I booked Rod of Amber, and that was really exciting, and at around the same time, I booked an animated short film, and then
Oh,
I
very
did
cool.
another show after that, and it was like it just from there, it just kept going, and now I'm 19, and I'm living in the city I've always wanted to live in, and I'm very happy.
That's really awesome. So what okay, I have so many questions. Uh I will say, so I'm going to piggyback off of something really quick there, which was that I can't remember if it was for the Rod of Amber role or if it was for another role. I think it was for a different role that I had somebody somebody submitted for it. She was in that late teens age group. Or so she said. And she listed her social media on her thing. And this is why I think it was for that, because I don't have many roles that I've ever cast for in that age range.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, "Are you 18?" And she was like, "Of course I am. I'm totally 18." And I was like, "Okay, great." And then I looked at her social media, and on TikTok, she literally had a video from 3 days before that said, "When older boys ask if I'm 18," and she was like, "Yes, of course I am," even though she was, and I was like, "Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me." Like,
Oh my god!
I'm like, "You're lying to get a part that doesn't pay, and you're also advertising on your TikTok that you lie
And you're
about your age." Like,
yeah,
what? So
that's insane to me. No, I never lied. I never
yeah,
lied.
no, but I think the reason I was so like, "Oh, I need to make sure," was because I had seen this relatively recently, and I was like, "Nope, that's a real company, that's a real address, that's a real person, great, we're good to go." So after we did Rod of Amber, you and I had talked a little bit about the potential of doing, like, voice acting in video games and things like that. Did anything ever come of that? Were you ever able to get any of those?
So I did start voice acting in a game, and then last minute, like, it started to kind of pick up for the game, and then like a few YouTubers started to play it, and then the developer messaged me and said, "Just kidding, I'm taking all of your voice lines out." And I was like, "Oh,
Oh.
okay." And then he was like, "Can you voice this ghost woman instead?" So I was like, "Sure, I guess." But then when he wouldn't send me the script.
Ah,
Um, so I was like, "Okay, I guess not really because he took
right.
everything out. I still would love to do voice acting in video games. There's actually today I just saw a video game submission for, like, a visual novel, so
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna submit for that,
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah.
yeah. That unfortunately for a lot of those, and people I know who have done audio work, I say unfortunately, I'm not judging it. Um, but like a lot of the times, those you have to be willing to say some sexy ass stuff to get those jobs. And I know of people who have totally I say respectable. Again, I'm not casting aspersions on anybody's work, but like so more socially acceptable, I guess, jobs
Mhm.
where they did all of that stuff first. So I just say, be wary because so many of those
Yeah,
visual novels are that.
yeah, I do kind of keep an eye out. The good and bad thing about, my typecast is that I typically get casted as children or like
Sure.
the little guy that's like loud and annoying, like the little elf.
Right,
So
sure.
it's like that's typically my casting type. So that's the kind of the good part about it is I don't really have an interest
Right.
in like doing anything kind of raunchy with my voice, especially because my giant family wants to be involved in everything I do. So I'm like, okay.
Also, it gets a little suspicious when somebody's like, "Hey, you sound just like a kid. Want to do this sexy part?" And you're like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, yeah, maybe not."
Right.
Um,
I'm good. But
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, which is really funny because the visual novel right now that I was thinking about auditioning for is literally like a little fairy girl who's
Oh,
like
sure. Uh-huh.
it's like audition for the fairy girl in the fantasy game, and I'm like, sure, uh, why not? Um, but yeah, I say that like I'm not interested in doing like the raunchy stuff. I just did Heather's the musical. Um,
Mhm.
where I was the understudy for Veronica, and I went on for a night, and I didn't know how to tell my family about, like, about the sex scene, so I didn't tell them, and my my little sister knew. She knew 'cause she's little sister, she's 16, but she was like she knew, and she was like, "I don't wanna tell them either," so then they didn't say anything to me after the show, they, like, hugged me, and my dad was like, "Good job." I was like, "Oh god."
Well, have you heard, it's Jason Segel. Have you ever seen, Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
I don't think I have.
Okay, very, very good movie, very funny movie, but he does full frontal nudity in it as a
Oh my god.
joke very early in the movie. Like he just pulls his towel open and Kristen Bell is standing there and he didn't tell his parents for the premiere. He thought it'd be a really funny joke prank on his parents and his mother just got beat red in the face, walked out of the theater for a few minutes
Oh
and
my
then came
god.
back in and she's like that was not funny. um
My sister says that my mom was laughing the entire time because,
uh-huh.
I do you know Heathers, the musical? Like
I've the original movie I saw a very long time ago. I haven't seen the
mhm.
musical version.
So the musical, the sex scene is actually like a song.
Okay.
So the entire song, my mom was, like, laughing, and she was just like, "I'm so glad that your abuela didn't come to see the show." Like, 'cause she was insisting, she was like, "Well, let me know when the shows are and da da da." And
Mhm.
I was the understudy, but I still didn't want my grandmother
Yeah,
to come
sure.
see the scene in general, so I was like, "No, it's not an appropriate show," and she was like, "Well, why are you doing an inappropriate show? You should only wanna do fun, happy shows," and I'm like,
Oh,
"You're so
yeah.
right." I'm like, "You're so correct."
Yeah, my grandmother wanted me to be the pope, like, it's and my objection was there's never gonna be an American pope, I was wrong, but,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
uh,
yeah, buddy, you're wrong.
yeah, I was just flat out wrong about that one, but yeah, I mean, there's obviously, like, a big difference between, like, adult material and adult material, so,
Yeah,
like, it's the thing that, like, as, like, writing horror, you have to walk a certain line because there are definitely the horror writers out there who are like, you know what's hot is sexy, you know what's scary is violence. What if we put them together a
yeah,
lot?
and that's just I feel like that's distasteful.
It's
There's so many
weird.
things
Go ahead.
my opinion about my opinion about horror is, like, at what point does it become, less about being scared and,
Mhm.
like, scaring people and more about, like, just shock factor?
Yes. Mhm.
So I'm like that way with, like, sexual violence in horror, I don't like that, and I don't like to see a gore, really, like, if there's,
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
an average amount of gore that's, like, just enough to,
Right, an
like
acceptable
just
amount of gore.
enough to yeah, just to make you be like, "Oh my god," like, like
Right.
Resident Evil,
Sure.
well Resident Evil, like, except for the 7th game. I
Uh-huh.
don't like the
Uh-huh.
7th game. I
That's
hate
the one in the house, right?
that's yes, that's the one in the
Mhm.
house. Uh, that's not, like that doesn't strike me as, like, shock factor gore, for some reason,
Mhm.
but, the Terrifier movies
Right.
and, Jigsaw.
Yep. Mhm.
I think I've never seen those movies because to me, it just feels like the gore doesn't become about scaring people anymore, um, And yeah, I feel that same way with like sexual violence in media and horror media, because it just, it's like this doesn't feel scary. This just feels like you're
Yeah,
just trying to
yeah.
get
There's a distance. I like to put. I li- I like to watch supernatural horror uh because it scares me on a level that I don't think it's going to happen. Right?
yeah.
Like, I'm not I don't rule out the supernatural philosophically, but, like, at the same
Yeah.
time, I don't think vampires are gonna come into my house, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
but I also but I don't watch home invasion movies because real people might come in, right? And
Yes.
that's a different kind of scary.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, like, the sexual violence and the extreme gore, I think I have the
Mhm.
same kind of view of, which is like, no one that I know has ever been taken by an ancient evil and turned into an amber-faced zombie type creature.
Yeah.
But people I do know have been attacked in other ways, and it doesn't
Mhm.
feel like I want to turn that into entertainment.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's kind of where I say now. If people are really into it, great. I do think it's interesting. There are trends in horror now where like splatterpunk and like super extreme gore stuff is really popular in some circles, especially in like horror book talk and things like that. And
Ugh.
I've never gotten it. I've never
Yeah.
understood it.
Me neither. I think there's a way to do gore, and a way to do, like, if there's something that happens to a character, regarding sexual violence, I think there's a way to go about it, and that makes you like think about
Sure.
like
Hmm.
that makes you think in a way that's not like that did. There's ways to make it um digestible
Sure.
and
That isn't just for
uh,
shock value.
yeah, yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to say. There's ways to do it. Um,
Would you be a final girl?
oh, I don't know, because I was just thinking about this the other day. This is crazy. I was thinking about, um, I'm a very paranoid person.
Mhm.
That's because of mental illness, but but I'm paranoid in the way that I'm always prepared for something. So it's
Uh-huh.
like I know what's gonna happen. I know what I can do, and I know what how I would react.
Mhm.
And I would not react by, fighting for my life and, like, being badass and, like, busting down the door with the shotgun. Like, I'm not doing that.
Uh-huh.
I know what my limits are. Um, so I think I wouldn't be, like, the final girl. I think I might be, like, the second to last final girl. Like, I think I'd be, like,
Okay.
second to last, because I think what would get me in the end is if I'm stuck in a situation,
Sure.
and the reason I was thinking about this is because of the new Resident Evil game,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not done with it yet, but Grace is just such a cool character, even though she's, like, a pretty anxiety ridden, she makes really smart choices in the moment, and it's like, I would not have thought of that. It's like I would have gotten completely, like like, in the very, like, second scene when she gets kidnapped and she's, like, hanging upside down, it's like, I would not have torn out my, like, IV and, like,
Right, yeah.
cleaned
You're
myself.
like, "No,
I would
that'd
just
be it for me."
I'd just be like, "Ah, help me." So so, probably not the final girl.
Okay, so I like that I asked that question wrong and you answered it perfectly, which is, would you be the final girl? But I guess what I meant, but I love your answer, but what I meant was, would you play a final girl? Like, would you?
Oh!
Like, I love the honesty, though. You're like, no, I'm bus ticket girl. I'm getting the fuck out of Dodge, and let them fight for their lives. I'm taking the fucking bus for the coast. Um,
Everybody knows. But, well, would I play a final girl? Oh, yeah, I feel like I could. I feel like yeah, I would love to. I would love to
Even
play a
if you're
final girl.
drenched in blood at the end, you're just like,
Even if I'm drenched in blood, if I'm acting, it's good, as long as I'm not
okay,
actually as long
right.
as you're not relying on me to save everyone or save myself. It's
You're like, I don't love gore, but you can dump it on me if the paycheck is there. Like,
yeah, yeah.
that's great. That's great. I think I was thinking about, like, I know there are lots of ways in which all media is sexist in a lot of ways, but I tend to be a really strong advocate because people really focus on the 80s when it comes to like the relationship between women and horror. And they're like,
Mhm.
oh, it's a lot of nudity, it's a lot of sex, and it's a lot of like violence. And I'm like, that's true. There was a decade there. There's a lot, and even more like late 70s Italian horror. There's lots and lots and lots of stuff there. Um, but when you look at the big picture of horror, horror is one of those, it's sort of a genre kind of started by a woman, with Frankenstein, um, and as is science fiction. But you also just have these like really amazing women writers in the 19th century who are just getting it done writing horror. Like there's so many. It's one of the like three or four genres that society is like, oh yeah, women can do this at least as well as men, if not better. And
Yeah.
there's just like tons of great older horror, and then they're really written by women, but just in general. But so like I guess so. One of the questions I have for you is if you like non-splatter horror, non-gore horror, do you have any like um sort of like either heroes or creators or people from past horror that you're like, if I got a chance to work with them, that would be amazing, or if I ever got a chance to like make one of their, either remake something they did or make something that they wrote or made into, do a movie or a series based on that. Like for example, like Shirley Jackson did
Mhm.
the the Haunting of Hill House. Um
Yes.
and she also did We Have Always Lived in the Castle, which I think they
Mhm.
did a series recently, but I don't think there's ever been like a really good movie version of that. Do you have like inspirations or heroes or things like that in the horror world that you were like, I would love to work with them or create something based on what they've done, inspired by what they've done?
Maybe not particularly horror because I wouldn't
Okay.
consider her like projects to be horror, more like gothic. I don't know how to describe her. I guess I'd say gothic. This is gonna sound pretty like typical, but Winona Ryder, I just absolutely
Oh,
like
sure.
love her as an actor.
Hmm.
Um, Most of the projects that she does or has done in the past, like Girl Interrupted, it's not a
Hmm.
horror film or
Right.
anything, but it's a psychological like I don't wanna say thriller, but it's not mm,
No, I think thriller's a good, like, it has commonalities with some. So horror, right? Like horror is such a broad category that
yeah,
you get, like, you can get things like The Yellow Wallpaper in the late
yeah,
1900s, which is about a woman being sort of locked into house on
mhm,
a certain psychological treatment because the men around her are taking control of her life and telling her
mhm,
that she's insane. And
yeah.
so like there are definitely themes there that are connected. That you could say
Yes,
like, yeah, there it's horrific in that this is a thing that happens to somebody. But I think yeah, thriller is
mhm.
probably.
I like I like Gothic literature a lot. I took a Gothic literature class, about, like, a semester ago,
Hmm.
because I'm trying to get my degree in creative writing,
Mm,
and, uh, I read what was considered the first ever, Gothic book, which
hmm.
was Castle of Otranto. I think
Uh-huh.
that's how you say it. Oh my
Hmm.
gosh. I think that's how you say it. Uh, but anyway, yes, I like Winona Ryder's, um, her kind of entire, like, branding of doing these kind of dark films that they aren't full of gore
Right,
and
right.
aren't, like, necessarily, um I mean, there's probably some problematic things about her movies because they were done, in the '80s and the '90s and stuff, but, um, she's someone I'd absolutely, like, love, to work with. I'd actually, like, pee my pants, oh my god.
Yeah.
And, um, um, but I'd love to have kind of, like, that kind of career. I'm not counting on it, but I'd love to have that kind of, those kinds of projects, under my belt. I know Jenna Ortega's kind of following in her footsteps with
Sure.
the and Mia Goth, like those kinds of actors. I like them a lot.
Yeah, they definitely have the goth girl aesthetic, like, and the sort of gothic, um, like vibe, I guess, to a lot of the stuff that they're doing. And
Mhm.
like, Winona Ryder had, so much of that stuff was kind of cultivated with Tim Burton while he was working
Mhm.
out his aesthetic, which,
Yeah.
he kind of went very, very over the top with later. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm of like Winona Ryder and I are very close to the same age. So,
Mhm.
Winona Ryder for me was like, oh, so this is a style that I
Yeah.
find wildly cool. Okay, cool. Um, yeah, that's cool. So you wanna do writing. What kind of writing do you want to do? You want to write books, or are you interested in focusing on more like visual kind of storytelling?
Yeah, so, the best way I can describe it is yes,
Okay.
because I have ADHD, so there's so many thoughts and ideas running through my head all the time. I'm working on, like, several, like, books, and there's a musical that I want to write. There's a one act that I want to write. There's a TV show I want to write. They're all kind of different, not even really different genres. They're all in this like in the fantasy genre.
Hmm.
There's one psychological thriller that I want to write, but I'm
Okay.
not very good at writing thriller. I'm just
Okay.
kind of like, and then the scary thing happened in the end. So that's why I'm
Uh-huh.
hoping to hone my skills, and get my degree and learn
Mhm.
because,
Mhm.
it's very important to me 'cause, I wanna make something, um, that doesn't feel like I'm telling you what it is,
Sure.
because I feel like that's something I've always struggled with is in writing classes, it's like, "Well, you're just telling me that this is happening, but, like, what's happening?"
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yes, it's mostly the fantasy genre, um, and I like to read a lot of fantasy stuff and, um, yeah, I like to read a lot of fantasy.
Who are your kind of like top fantasy people? Like as
Um,
far as writers?
I actually, don't I wouldn't say I'd have any favorites because every time I get a favorite, it feels like something is wrong with the author at
Okay,
some
as
point.
look, as somebody who's I know we're of completely different generations, never think about that. Stop thinking about that. You will destroy art. You really will.
I
Everybody's a bad
know,
person. You will just
I
destroy
know.
all of art. So you have to let it go. Now, if it's Neil Gaiman and he's like, it's like fine. When the bad stuff elevates to a certain level, fine. But like you gotta let art be art. And
Yeah, that's true. I like, uh, before Book Talk ruined it for me,
uh-huh.
I really liked the ACOTAR series, the
Sure.
Court of Thorns and Roses
Hmm.
series, and I think that's because, I read it when I was at a point in my life where, I felt kind of alone. It was over a summer. I was doing, a summer camp at the Boston Conservatory
Hmm.
for musical theater, so, so I've always had trouble fitting in, and it kinda brought me back to, like, being in school and, like, not having a lot of friends and being, like, the weird theater kid girl, so,
Sure.
where I'd always just read by myself, so I read the entire series over the 6 weeks, that I was there, and it, like, I just didn't feel so alone because I feel like Sarah J. Maas, she's really good at immersing people in the universe of that world, so that's why I liked it, but then when I'd look it up on TikTok and be like, "Oh, what are the fans saying?" And then the fans would ruin it, and then
Uh-huh.
the haters would ruin it, and it was like, "Okay, well, now I feel like I can't really enjoy this anymore
Okay,
because so
you
many
need to
people
go
hate
back.
it."
And this is a thing that as a kid who I was just telling my wife the other day, I wore Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle t-shirts to school with all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pins on them, Batman t-shirts with Batman pins. I like country and western music when everybody else was getting into heavy metal and hip hop. Like that version of me, that 7th and 8th grade version of me, knew what he liked and he didn't care what other people thought about it. And like you got as especially as an artist. If you're just a normal person, you're a civilian, who cares? But if you're an artist, you have to be able to like what you like without letting other people ruin it for you. Because
I feel like
like
yeah.
like some of our greatest artists are monsters.
Yeah.
And like we have to be able to say, like, you know what? Odds are I'm a monster too. Odds are some point in my life I'm going to let myself down. And I need to be able to keep making art. And my art still has to be able to be valuable. So like those people too. So don't let people ruin it. Don't let people tell you not to like things. Um I I think that as an artist, the moment you cut somebody off because look, if you're a painter and you're like, I really am inspired by Hitler's paintings, then I'm like, okay, there are other people you can go to, right? Like
Yeah, like,
there's
it
some
probably
people you,
shouldn't be your guy.
right? I'm like, you can. It's okay to cut some people out, but like,
Yeah.
there's like, if we're only looking for perfect artists, we're never gonna find them. So you, as an artist, you have to eat everything.
Yeah.
And like there are just so many wonderful pieces of art made by imperfect people. And I think that's the
Mhm.
thing, is like as you get older and at some point you're going to let yourself down and you're going to be like, wow, okay, am I not no longer valid as a person? And
Yeah.
you have to be able to still make art.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean obviously that like when people do really bad things again that I think that they should be rehired and that's not, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But eat everything. Eat absolutely everything and enjoy it if you
Mhm.
enjoy it, and be okay. I mean, probably the most influential horror person in Western culture now, right? Like um I mean, ultimately, if you go back, it's probably in the English speaking world, it's Mary Shelley because she sort of kicks a lot of stuff off, but
Mhm.
it's probably Edgar Allan Poe, right? And
Mhm.
this guy is a drunk. He's a debtor. He's like,
You married his cousin. He
yeah.
was
I,
13.
I it's there's a lot of stuff where you're just like, ooh, bro, uh,
Yeah.
not a good choice,
Uh,
right? But almost no one's more influential than Poe,
mhm.
because Poe influences everybody else, and then influences, in my opinion, the most influential 20th century horror writer. And most people go like, "Oh, it's Stephen King," but it isn't Stephen King. It's H.P. Lovecraft, one of the worst racists in who was ever born north of the Mason-Dixon line, right? Like,
Yeah.
but Lovecraft does this thing that nobody else does, and so like, yeah, I think we have to be able to hold those two things in tension. Um, and so like, I would say one, be okay with like letting stuff go too, because like when I was like a young teenager, I certainly younger than you are. I read the Dragonlance novels, which are this Dungeons and Dragons series of books.
Mhm.
Um, and I tried to go back to them as an adult, and I was like, "Ooh, nope, this is." I'm sure there's problematic stuff in there, but it was just the writing. I was like, "Oh, this certainly shaped my writing as a 13-year-old, but I should not let it shape my writing as a 30-year
As an
old."
adult, yeah.
Right, yeah,
That's
exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, I think eating as much as you can art-wise is never going to do you wrong.
Mhm.
There's this really weird moment in the 80s. Do you know who Guns N' Roses are?
They're a band, right?
They are a band. Very good. Yes, they're a heavy metal
I've never
band.
heard their music, but I know that they're super popular.
Yeah, so there was a time Axl Rose became the lead singer, became just a madman over the years. But in the 80s, they were a massive, massive heavy metal band, and they put
Mhm.
out their last studio album for like 20 years or whatever was called the Spaghetti Incident, and it had a very controversial hidden track on it, because back when people bought CDs, all the tracks were listed, and then sometimes you'd put a hidden track at the end. Like, so if you
Mhm.
just kept listening, eventually this thing would play. Um, and they remade a Charles Manson song. And it was like people were just like, What are you doing?"
Yeah. Mm.
But it was also like, this is fascinating because it is part of who this guy was. And it's just a fascinating look at like, we even monsters have multiple pieces to who they are.
Yeah.
And they can create things, and that's fascinating. So that leads me, I guess, into kind of the other question that I have for what I'm hoping to ask people on the show is, um, what do you think is happening when we create? Like when you write or you take on a character, from your kind of worldview, what do you think is going on there?
What do I think is going on there?
Yeah, like in the creation of art.
Mm, um, well, I think as an actor, um, when you take on a character, it's not like you are someone else. It's like you're putting yourself in someone else's shoes and reacting in that circumstance. And I think what that does is it helps you as a performer um understand um uh different different views on the world um and, like, why they would make this decision even though as, like, a person, you wouldn't make that decision.
Mhm.
I don't know if that makes any sense or if that even answers the question, um, but that's from an actor standpoint, but like, a writer's standpoint, when you create something, um, ooh, that's a good question. Um, do you think you could put it in different words?
Sure. So I can give an example. I don't want it to influence your right. Like, so I don't want to give you an example and then
Yeah.
say like this is what you should think. But so very famously, like J.R.R. Tolkien thought that what
Mhm,
was happening when artists created was that they were sharing in creation with the creator. They were doing something he called subcreation. So when he makes Middle Earth, he thinks that what he's doing is participating in the creator's creative act, but only at the level he's capable of, right? He can't make things as real as God can,
yeah.
but he thinks that that's what's kind of happening. Now, from a different perspective, let's say Homer, if there was a Homer, starts the Iliad with "Sing, O Muse of the Wrath of Achilles," right? And so what he's saying is, Muse, daughter of Zeus, speak through me to the people, inspire in me the words, uh, so that we can sing of the wrath of Achilles and the
Mhm,
war of Ilium.
mhm,
And so different people have different kind of views about this. Is there, I think Ray Bradbury had this very elevated view of the muse, and Stephen King sees him as kind of like a fat guy with a cigar who comes in
yeah.
and will just sort of bug you. But if you pester him enough, he'll inspire you. And so like the question then is like, is there something more happening when you create? Is it simply your brain kind of digesting all the stuff that's been put into it beforehand? Are you adding something new? Is it entirely conditioned by your culture and your experience? In and you don't have to have a comprehensive answer, but I am curious about when you think about creating art, and that's why I do think that it connects with acting as well,
Mhm,
is you're bringing something into existence that wasn't there before. And it's a human being doing it. So I'm curious if you
mhm.
have any sort of like thought about what is happening when you write, or are you kind of at the point with writing where you're like, look, I'm just trying to make the words make sense, um, and I'll get to
Um,
the fancy parts later.
n well, to an extent, kind of, but also not really because um, there's always just like point there's something in the forefront of my head that's like, the art isn't supposed to be good. Like, does that make sense?
Mm,
Like, don't when I sit down to write, it's like I can't just be like, I need to make this good. I need to
Hmm.
write something good. And I don't think any good writer has ever sat down and said, "I'm gonna write something good now. Here we go."
When you
I
say
think
good, what do you mean? Like,
something that they are hmm, something that is socially acceptable, um
oh, sure, 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 sure.
socially
I mean,
acceptable,
they're
something that the artist would think that that, like, the masses will enjoy. Um,
uh-huh.
so that's what I think, like, by good, because I know, like, in high school, that's what I was like. I was like, "I'm gonna write something amazing, and I'm gonna do it right now." And watch me, and it'd be, like, 2 words. So, um, uh I think when you create something as an artist, I think it has to stem from well, yeah, sure. I think it does come from what you've seen before, what you've consumed before. At least in my case, it's like I always loved the dark fantasy vibe, the kind of gothic vibe, even as a kid. It's like the medieval castles and like the knights, and there's like, like Disney Sleeping Beauty, like near the end. I love that scene. I like used to replay over and over because it was just like the vibe of like the castle and
Uh-huh.
everything that's swirling above it. I think you do need to kind of consume what you want to create.
Mhm.
Um uh um and I think I'm not sure if I'm saying this in a way that makes any sense, but, um,
No, I
so
mean, I
weird.
think you're coming at it from a multiple angles at once, which is why I think it's a little bit confused, but that's good because, right, that means that you see how complicated the question is, right?
Yeah, it's not like I can yeah, it is a complicated question, but,
But also you
I
did
do
say, like, that no writer ever sat down to say, like, "I wanna make something that's socially acceptable." And I would say there are lots of writers who do that. I don't know that there are many artists who do that, right?
yeah,
Like, because plenty of writers write what's, most accessible to the most number of people so they can make the most money off of it, right? And now we're in
mhm.
an age where, like, they just throw it into AI and they say, "Great, we can produce 40 books a year and we can make, $40,000 a year or $80,000 a year doing that."
Well, yeah, the problem oh my god, I hate AI. I could go on and on and on. Um, this will turn into a whole AI conversation, but, art it's supposed to not it's supposed to be made by a human
Yes.
because humans go through and actually consume and comprehend and, um, uh can say, "I like that," and I have another idea for something like that. That's
Mhm.
like fan fiction. So many good things come from fan fiction.
Uh-huh.
Like it's crazy. Isn't there like a huge like thing like Twilight from
Yeah,
My
Twilight
Chemical
was
Romance
yes.
was inspired by My Chemical Romance? Like yeah, there's it's it's
So, I think
it
Twilight was fan fiction off of My Chemical Romance, and then the, the sexy books that everybody read, that I didn't read.
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, those were fan fiction of Twilight.
Yes. So it's like um it when AI is thrown in, AI doesn't consume things and say, "I like that. Let's make something kind of inspired off of it, but also its own thing." AI is like, "I like that. Let me copy it and change a few words, but
Right.
the grammar is perfect and it's filled with fluff and it's hard to read because it's so overly perfect that at some point it's just, like, not consumable by, people, and then what?
So that actually, I'm gonna veer us off on a totally different tangent here, real quick, because what you just said is in a lot of ways the difference between the music that I grew up with and the music that you grew up with.
Mhm.
So the music that just chronologically you must have grown up with is music that has been made perfect. It's music that has been lined up on a computer. Every beat is on every beat. Every drum beat is on every beat. Whereas I grew up with music that was imperfect. It was made by raw by people, so that when the drummer is just slightly off on the time, it's there in the song. When the guitarist is slightly off, it's there in the song. And do you have an opinion about that where, as far as creativity, like especially if you're singing and you're making music, do you think that there's something in, say, like a live performance that isn't there in a studio recording?
Do you mean like I think that like live performance versus live recording being like
Or just, I guess, more broadly, like the music, I guess, that existed up until I was in my 30s, I guess, was, or maybe a little bit before that, was purely just people making music, right? There were synthesizers and stuff, but like overall, when you put when you got a song on a CD or an MP3, the things in it were recorded by people. But now, over the last, let's say, 20 years or whatever, kind of all the music that you've grown up with, um, is all made perfect by computers. So do you think there's something lost when the computers do that stuff versus it being made purely by people?
Yeah, I do think so because one thing because that also reminds me of the kind of phenomenon that's going on now where people on like social media they hear a demo of a song that an
Mhm.
artist does where it's just it's imperfect and it's like a concept and they fall in love with this concept and then the studio drops the actual single and it's polished and clean and people are like I don't like this anymore. So
Mm.
that happened with, most recently, it happened with, The Subway by Chapel Roan. They loved the demo,
Uh-huh.
and then the actual song came out, and they're like, "This is trash, this is trash." Well, people aren't really nuanced on social media anyway, so I
Sure,
didn't think it
yeah.
was trash. I think it sounded great. And then the same with The Hand by Annabelle Dinda, I think is how you say her last name.
Mhm.
They loved the demo, because it was just her in her room, with her guitar,
Uh-huh.
singing into a microphone for TikTok, and people loved it, and they were like, "We need to drop this right now." Well, she gets in the studio and she does the thing, and then she drops the song, and people are like, "Well, I don't like it anymore."
Right.
It's still a good song, it's the same song, but, um, I guess there's something missing about, like, singing it, like, right then and there and hearing all of that, um, uh, and um, there's probably another one I could say, but, oh, Drag Path, most recently, Drag Path by 21 Pilots. There was, like, a secret track,
Okay.
for with, like you had to, like, go to, like, a Google Drive to, like, find this track or
Okay.
something, and
Uh-huh.
I could have gotten my phone hacked, but I was like, "I know this song." Um, and it was a really long song, and it was just really beautiful, and it took you on this journey, and then they cut it down. I think they cut it down, and,
Mm.
but again, it was polished, and people were like, "Well,
Right.
it's losing what it had before." So, yeah, I do think that there is a difference, um, between having that live,
Almost
feeling.
imperfection.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that, like, as more and more consumable things, I guess, are made, that there's a confusion between that and art. And I don't necessarily think art has to be highfalutin, right? Like, it doesn't have to be,
Mhm.
pretentious, but it does have to be made by people, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but I am really curious when artists, especially people kind of just starting out in art, um, developing a philosophy of art might be an interesting thing as an artist, like from the get-go, and trying to have a philosophy of art. Um, because I don't think I had one for uh, for probably the first, like, 20 years that I was trying to make art, and I started trying to make art when I was, like, 5. So, like, my first art is, like, Batman comics that I drew as a kid, and then I redrew them and repenciled them 3 years later, and then again 3 years later. Is like me trying to be a better artist and writer over, like, my childhood.
Yeah.
Um but I don't think I really had a philosophy of art until my, late 20s or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I'm always very curious to hear other people's thoughts on what they think is happening, because art is, especially now where we do have people saying like, well, I wrote this book with AI, and it's like, well, no, you didn't write
You
a book.
didn't you didn't write it.
um but I think having a clear idea about what's different about those things is useful now in a way that maybe it wasn't always useful in the past.
Mhm,
And maybe just the purview of philosophers.
mhm.
Okay, so as we're getting close to an hour here, I won't drag this out, but I guess right now you don't have any immediate projects going on.
No, not right now, but
Uh,
hopefully soon.
is there an area you'd really like to work in next? Like, is it video games? Is it a web series? Like,
Oh, I don't there's so many things to be in that I just I can find, like, joy in, like, any form of acting.
mm,
Um, I love film acting, I love theater, I love voice acting in anything ever, so it's not like I'm looking for anything in particular. I would love to be a voice act in a video game, because
uh-huh.
I love video games so much. I have a Switch, I have a Steam Deck, I have, my computer, my DS, I'm always playing a game. So I'd absolutely love to do that one day. But uh, just, just, long story short, anything ever.
Right. Well,
I just
here's
love acting.
so I have a question and then I have a recommendation.
Mhm.
Which do you want first, the question or the recommendation?
Probably the question.
Okay. So the question is, what are you playing now? You said that you're playing Resident Evil. But what
Mhm.
else are you playing? And if you like horror games, what are kind of some of your top horror games?
Oh, my top horror games. I love this question. Okay, so what I'm playing. Let's start with what I'm playing because I'm playing Resident Evil 9. But I'm also playing Arkham Knight.
Mhm. Mhm.
Which one? The Arkham Knight, the one where the Scarecrow is. I don't know the name, but it's the one where the
So the
Scarecrow.
Arkham Knight's the third one. The Scarecrow is in all of them, so that doesn't help. Um, so Arkham Asylum takes place in the asylum.
No, not Arkham Asylum. I thought I bought Arkham Asylum because I've always
Mm.
wanted to play it, and then I got in the game and I was like, "This is not Arkham Asylum."
So, all right.
Sorry,
So
Scarecrow's
spoilers,
gassing the city.
spoilers for this. Is the Joker alive?
No, I burned
Okay.
him at the beginning of this game.
Okay. So that's you're in the third game now.
Okay, I'm in the 3rd game. I have no prior context, but I did watch a lot of playthroughs of the first 2 games, so I kind of know
I
anyway. So
really
I'm just like,
recommend those other games. Boy, they're good.
okay. I thought I bought Asylum because I really wanted to play it,
Mhm.
and then I was like, "This is not Asylum because I'm burning the Joker right now, but it's
Yeah.
okay." But yes, so I'm playing that. I'm trying to finish chapter 5 of Sally Face. I just keep getting sidetracked, for some reason, by wanting to play anything else. On my DS, I'm playing Resident Evil
Mhm.
Revelations.
Mhm.
Um, and I like to play online, like, shooter games, so Marvel Rivals, Overwatch, Fortnite, Apex Legends, and then yeah, and then favorite horror game, um, horror games, because uh, no, I don't wanna say that because I don't like it anymore, but it's not 'cause of the company, it's just 'cause the
Uh-huh.
recent installment disappointed me so much that I'm like, "Man,
Oh, is it
um,
Poppy?
it's Poppy Playtime!"
I knew it. I knew it had to be.
I was so disappointed. I was so excited, and then it was just, like, miserable the whole time, and I wasn't even scared. And it was
3 really disappointed me so badly that I didn't even bother with
like
4. Yeah, 3 really like, the gameplay, you know what it was? It was the damn room where they, like, crawl out of the tubes, and you have to, like, I hated it so I was like, "This is not what I'm here for. I'm here to be scared. I'm not here to, like, try to shoot these things in tubes."
Okay, so I liked 3 a lot because probably because I love Catnap as a character, and I actually have a Catnap plushie
Mhm.
up in my net right now because I love him so much. And he scared the shit out of me. I
Uh-huh,
forgot
uh-huh.
I was like, "Am I allowed to swear?" No, he scared the shit out of me in this, like, nightmare form. But 4 was just action, and I was like, "Okay, well, this is really disappointing," but I like,
Right.
Michael Kovac as a voice actor, so, I guess I'll, like, play it and then, just whatever, and I was like, "Chapter 5 is the last chapter, it's gonna be great, I can't wait to see the prototype and da da da," and then, chapter 5 happened, and I was like, "So what the fuck is is this?"
Mm.
what is this? And I was really disappointed. Um, it just didn't even it was just puzzles of, like, complicated, miserable puzzles, and not like, there was a few parts like, lore-wise, I was interested still, but then I was just like, I'm not interested in playing, like, another chapter where it's just miserable puzzles and, like, you're not even getting scared anymore. Um, so it was, one a game that I would have recommended back maybe when chapter 3 was happening,
Uh-huh.
but definitely not anymore. I've been a long time Five Nights at Freddy's fan
Okay.
until Security Breach, and then I pretended like it wasn't a thing, and then I just wanna pretend like it's not a thing even more now that Secret of the Mimic dropped. I was just like, I don't know, I'm tired of mascot horror. I'm ready for something else.
So I
So
was gonna actually recommend 2 mascot horror games.
wait, no, no,
Uh,
no. Okay, because mascot horror, if it's done correctly,
right.
it can be genuinely terrifying, and that's why I think there's some aspects of Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 that are genuinely scary, like,
Uh-huh.
the fact that because it was like, "Oh, children dying again," and
Right.
XYZ, but then you hear about the experiments, and then you hear about, like and then you're like, "Oh my god, that's awful and that's terrifying," and then they didn't do anything with it, and they totally
Uh-huh.
could have. But mascot horror, I think done correctly can be really good. Sorry.
So
What are your
so
recommendations?
have you played Indigo Park?
I've not. I've heard of
Indigo
it.
Park is so good. Like
Mhm.
the original demo for it was absolutely fantastic. I'm sorry, it's not the demo, it's part 1. And it's I think part 1 is still free. So but part 1 is really really good. And it kind of did what I wanted Poppy. So the first Poppy I loved. Like I thought
I
the giant coming out of the thing was
mhm.
fantastic. And then the chase after that, I was like, wait, no, Matt, like this thing's happened 6 times. I'm not scared anymore. And
Yeah, the Mob Entertainment, they knew that chapter 1 and chapter 2, like, were really like, they were like, "Oh, those chase sequences, everyone liked those, so let's put more!" And it was like,
right.
"Okay, well,
And
then
I
let's get
hated them.
more."
I was like, oh, you should cheat for me, right? Because the idea of the horror is you don't want to get caught. But eventually it just becomes and this is a thing that goes off in my brain about horror, especially in horror games, is if
Mhm,
I fail too many times at something, it stops being scary. It just I become
mhm,
angry, right? Like I become
mhm,
annoyed. And so as a game designer, you need to design around that. You need to
mhm,
say, great, you can die a couple of times, but then I'm gonna push you through to get to the
mhm,
next scary thing. Because this should
mhm.
not be about limiting the horror based on your skill. It should be about
Yeah.
because especially those chase sequences are all about memorization, right? Like it's
Yes,
like,
it at some point, it just became so the first one, it was easy to die to because you were like, "There's so many twists and
yep,
turns," but it was still kind of fresh, because so
mhm,
people wanted to beat it, and then the second game, the same thing, because it was second chapter was well done, and then by the third one, you're like, "Okay, well, let's just keep going." But then, what I think chapter 3 did really well was oh my god, what gets me, I don't like being chased, that's one thing. So,
uh-huh,
like, in a horror game when I'm being chased, I'm like, "Ah," like, I hate it, and all the hair on my body stands up, but, uh, the weeping angel situation where you have to be looking at something
uh-huh,
and then still doing something else, that absolutely, like, gets me, like, out of my skin.
yeah,
So, I think chapter 3 did that really well with the school teacher, with Miss
mhm.
Delight, I think her yeah, Miss Delight, where she's just, like, absolutely terrifying. So that's
Trying
why
to
I still
remember if I
kind of
even
like
got to
chapter
her.
3.
Mhm. So
But
the other thing that I want to recommend to you is both as a really good little horror game, and it's a little mascot horror game, but it's also a recommendation about making your own stuff. So like you're in college right now with other people who are creating stuff, right? Like
mhm,
make stuff with them. Because there are going to be people in the video games like the computer department and people in the art department, and you can be like, look, I will write your video game, I will voice the video game, you make
so
the video game and do the art, and we're going to do this together.
that's what actually I have been starting writing like the concept of a draft
Hmm.
um, of a game that I don't really think I would have as a horror game, but I think
Okay.
I would have as, like, a thriller game. Actually, maybe no, it's a
Okay.
mystery kind of thriller, about vampires in a small town, and it's like a vampire cult, like, you have to figure it out, there's a
Hmm.
mystery, all of it, and it's in the very, very early stages, like, I don't know why I did this even though, like, there's, like, nothing really there yet, but I made, like, the title screen,
Uh-huh.
I made, like I made, like, a sketch of the title screen, and then I made, like, title screen music on GarageBand, with, like, a few piano keys and, like,
Sure.
cricket sounds or something like that, and I was like, "Oh, like, I need to expand on this because I think I wanna make what I wanna consume."
Right. Yes, 100%. That's why I made Weaving Cedars, is I want to make what I
Yeah,
want to
it's like
consume.
if I'd wanna play this game that I'm thinking about, so I need to make it so I could play it.
Yeah, so I recommend you are the most around other creative people that you ever be.
Mhm,
Ever in your life. Even if you professionally go create, you are the most around people who also have the most free time
mhm,
and like the most hunger. So I definitely recommend doing it. The game that I would say to look at, and you may just enjoy it on its own, because it's one of my favorite horror games, is called Andy's Apple Farm.
that sounds familiar. So I just looked up Indigo Park earlier, so it's
Mhm.
let me see, Andy's Apple Farm?
Andy's Apple Farm is a really good example of a very small project. It was made by one person. They did the art, they voiced all the characters, they programmed
Mm,
it. Um, and there was supposed to be more, and I don't know if there's going to be more or not. But Andy's is a great little horror game, but a really good example of like how you can build a following, how you
mhm,
can make something without a lot of big production. Um, and when you're around other creative people, that's a great time to do exactly that.
mhm. Yeah, I see it right here. I wonder can I play it on Steam? Yeah, I can play it on
Yeah.
Steam. Yeah, I'll check both of those out and, for sure, for sure. I really like Welcome Home. Welcome Home's not a game, it's a website that you have to, like, solve puzzles on, but
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
it's really cool. It's like a Sesame Street type, uh, thing where, you have to, like, solve the puzzles on the website. Um, it's super cool. I love it
Oh,
so
it's
much,
got a
but
little bit of a "Don't hug me, I'm scared" vibe going on
yeah.
here.
Oh my gosh. I totally forgot that existed. I hate Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. It actually
I
scared me
love it
so
so much.
oh my god. I had friends that were like, "Come watch it with us." And I'm like, "No, I don't want to. I'm scared."
They just got a new distribution on Dropout TV.
Oh my god.
Um, and there was a second season of it that a lot of people don't know about that was only like put out on British TV.
Really?
Yeah, they're longer episodes. I don't actually think they're quite as good as the shorter episodes.
Mhm.
But yeah, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is I love it so much.
I'm so I that series genuinely terrifies me.
There's something so wonderfully dark about it and so
Mhm.
nihilistic and it's so good. Yes, but most people I know who are like, let's say, well, everybody that I used to stream with who knows Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is like, nope, nope. They had exactly the same reaction you did. They're like, please don't remind me that that exists.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, don't bring it up, bro. Like, it's
Yeah, it's a wonderful bit of existential horror with puppets. Okay, so is there anything else that you want people to know? Is there so one, I guess, have you ever done an interview before?
No, well, actually, that's not true. I was interviewed on the local news when I was doing Hadestown, the
Oh, okay.
musical. Um, um, and I was the lead, so I got to go talk about my character on TV. So that was really cool. But like otherwise, no. So I was like low key really nervous because I was like, oh, I've never really done this before. So, but yes, I had such a good time.
Well, I'm glad. It also does destroy one of my questions, which is like, well, what's the question interviewers never ask you? So it's all of the questions, the questions interviewers never ask. But is there something that you would like people to know about you, about the work that you've done, a thing maybe that's online that people can go find that you're really excited about?
Well, I have an Instagram, and I love interacting with people who I could potentially work with. It's
Uh-huh.
so fun. So it's at the Micaela Ramirez. And yes, I absolutely, yeah. I'm totally stumbling over my words now.
Well, and
But
I'll also, I mean, so if anybody follows the Weeping Cedar stuff on Instagram, which nobody does, it's like 200 people. Um, there's way more on TikTok, even though it's also not a lot of people.
mhm.
But I'll certainly link everything in the show notes to your social media that you want. And we'll make sure everybody can kind of get to you where you want them to get to you.
Yay!
And we're back, and I'm going to be talking about Undertone, which was written and directed by Ian Tuason, not 100% sure how to pronounce his name, starring Nina Kiri and Adam DeMarco. Only one of them is on screen in this. And then the only other, so Nina Kiri is on screen, and Michelle Duquette, who plays her mother, is also on screen. It's a two-person movie as far as people you see. You hear you hear a number of other people, voices and things like that, because it is a movie about a podcast, and to some degree, a podcast within a podcast within a movie, which is great. I loved this film. Undertone is this year's Late Night with the Devil for me. I loved Late Night with the Devil. I'm a little bit disappointed that the guys who made it aren't making something else immediately. I don't see anything listed. The Cairns brothers. I know there was a little bit of controversy with the fact that they very foolishly, I think, put some AI art into their movie when they could have very easily had that art made by artists, and not expensively either. That little hit being said, we even rewatched Late Night with the Devil last night because I liked Undertones so much. It reminded me of the feeling I had watching Late Night with the Devil, so I wanted to see that. They are very different movies, though. They are. This movie, I would say, draws much more from creepypasta, from actual podcasts, and I would say Blair Witch is a very big influence. You can kind of see a lot of that influence later on. You see some tropes in this, creepy drawings and stuff, but no kids drawing creepy drawings, which is great. I will say I'm not going to spoil anything about this thing, um, but I will say the opposite of a spoiler, I guess. One of my biggest complaints about horror films in the last several years, some that I really like Smile, and I even really like Smile 2, actually. I loved how different it was from the first movie. And Smile really felt like a remix of the American version of The Ring. It follows movies like that sort of got kind of all smashed together into this uh, fun remix. I wish they had done more, actually. I think I like the first half of Smile better than the second half. I wish they had done more scenes like the kitchen scene in Smile. That is, to me, one of the great creepy moments in movies. I don't think that scene gets enough credit. But one of the big problems, I think, that a lot of these movies have is that they feel this obligation to show the monster at the end, and very often the monster is a CG monstrosity, and I don't mean that it's scary. I mean that you look at it and you go, "Oh, okay, cool, right? Okay, you guys made up a CG monster, and now it's running around a room. Great, thanks. That's real good." This movie doesn't do that. I'm happy to say this movie is very restrained, and maybe that's a budget thing, but I really hope it's a creativity thing. Like, I really, really hope that the director, when and if, I guess, sadly, because of the state of movies, but when and if the director gets to make another movie, I hope he, even with a bigger budget, because I think he deserves a bigger budget, will continue with the ethos of this movie. It is small, It is very, very tightly designed. It's only an hour and a half, which, horror movies usually are. But it doesn't go beyond its bounds. There are things in this movie that really remind me of It Follows. There are things that really remind me of some of the dynamics in the Blair Witch beyond just some of the visual elements, as far as people pressing forward with something that may be a bad idea. But it is a movie about a horror podcast where you have a skeptic character and a believer character, and the skeptic character is the one that you follow. Her mother is sick. She's there taking care of her mother. You learn things about her life throughout the movie. You learn things about relationships, about her past, and then they delve into a spooky story when they get an email with a bunch of audio clips. So a lot of this movie is sitting there watching her with headphones on, listening to things. And there was a lot of stuff in this that really reminded me of the cinematography of not Late Night with the Devil, sorry, House of the Devil. A lot of very slow shots, watching a person, watching the framing, seeing how lighting is used, seeing how things are framed. I really, really enjoy that. House of the Devil is one of my favorite horror films of all time. A lot of the quietness in that, and the framing, and the expectation and buildup. And this movie does a lot of that too. I really, really recommend that you see it in the theater. If you like slow horror films that aren't full of blood, but things that are making you think. If you like some creepypasta, because there's creepypasta elements to this, um, I think you might really, really like Undertone, and it should be watched in the theater, unless you have a surround sound system at home. If you have a Dolby 7.1 surround sound system at home, then maybe wait till it comes out on Blu-ray, hopefully, with a director's commentary. Hopefully. We've been having some luck with those in horror films recently. A fair number of the horror films that I enjoy have come out on Blu-ray with director's commentaries recently, and that's great because I want those. It's a big part of how I learned to tell stories. Wasn't just reading books, but listening to directors' commentaries. And another recommendation of mine, very different, very different than, let's say, Weeping Cedars or anything that I've written. In a Violent Nature is another really good, also very quiet horror film. Very, very different. And I guess you could find some similarities between the stuff I do and they do, because it changes the perspective that you're used to. It's very quiet. It implies a lot about the history. You don't get a lot of explicit stuff about the history, but very different because it is a slasher film. And it's maybe my favorite slasher film, except maybe Dale and Tucker vs. Evil. That's a great one. Yeah, Undertone, the audio in it is so well done, and their use of loud sounds, their use of silence, the sound that happens when she puts on her headphones and all the other sound cuts out. Really fantastic. If they don't get an Academy Award nomination, at least, or some major festival nomination, they are being robbed because their use of sound in it is just fantastic, and it should be. It's about a podcast. It's about audio, and they really, I think that was something they had to hit it out of the park with, and they did. So I really love Undertone. I love its sound. The one tiny little thing, and this is such an inside baseball thing. But so many people make podcasts that there are going to be enough people who see it who will identify with this moment. It is very clear that each person in this podcast is recording their own side of the audio. They're not using an online service. She's recording her audio. He's recording his audio. Now, some of that doesn't exactly make technical sense with how they play some of the audio. that's okay. We'll allow a little hand waving with some of the technical pieces. And I'm getting a little bit better with that over time. I'm There are a lot of things though, and I there's a movie I think called Juror 8 or something like that that came out in the last couple of years that people have sung the praises of, that I've uh had these maybe it's Juror number 2. That's it. It's Juror number 2. What a god awful film. Holy crap, that's a terrible film. Just we stopped watching after the first 15 minutes. The writing was monstrously bad, and then it just started to rip off 12 Angry Men almost line for line, character for character, the moment they get into the deliberation room. And that's the sort of film where I'm just like, I wish I had the time to sit down and piece by piece pick apart why this is horrible writing, why none of this makes any sense, and also why it's also just plagiarism. This is why media literacy is important, folks. Get to know older stuff so you know when people are just ripping stuff off. Um, so, uh, Anybody who makes a podcast will know that if you are recording your side and they are recording their side, syncing those two up is a pain in the ass. When you have multiple people, not just two, but 3, 4, 5 people talking, um, one of the ways that I like to make sure the audio syncs up, I would do call and response kinds of things. So I would say a person's name, they would say hello, and then I would ask them how they're doing, and then they would tell me, and then I would have a little like series of things I could line up. So I might say, you know, uh, hey Renee, and she would say hey, and I would say how's it going, and she would say okay, and then I have these 2 little markers on my side and 2 little markers on her side, and I could line them up, and then I would line up the next person's with that. But most traditionally, what people do is a countdown and clap. 3, 2, 1, clap. And when you all clap, it creates a little audio spike, and then the person who's editing it can line them up. And you get pretty close to a synced up audio system. They don't sync their audio up in this at all. I know it's silly. It's a tiny little thing. It does not ruin the movie. It does not. But for like a second, it took me out. And I was like, oh, they would have clapped there. How are they going to line this audio up? this is this is going to be a nightmare for the guy who actually edits this thing. That minuscule little objection filed. I wholeheartedly recommend. This is my favorite horror film that I've seen probably since Sinners. I didn't think last year was a particularly great year for horror films. The year before promised to be a great year, and 2 of the 3 movies that I saw in 2024 that I was really looking forward to really paid off, and that was Late Night with the Devil and Nosferatu. I was very disappointed by Longlegs, especially with the marketing that led up to it, all the codes and everything, and then yeah, Longlegs really disappointed me because it didn't live up to its marketing. And then this year, I would say I had a lot of high hopes for Lee Cronin's The Mummy, based on the teaser trailer, and now that I've seen the full trailer, I will not be seeing that movie. That one's when the little mummy girl grabs the woman by the throat and says, "It's okay, Grandma. It's fun to be dead." I was like, I'm out. I'm out. No more of this. You guys are making horror that isn't for me. But whoever made the trailer for that, there's some genius horror trailers out there. Skinamarink is I think Skinamarink's trailer, one of the scariest horror films ever made. Skinamarink the movie, I find incredibly disappointing. So I don't know. I won't ramble on about the movies I like and don't like, but that's just sort of a gauge, a measuring stick. If you love Skinamarink, maybe you'll like this too. It has some similarities. I think this handles all of it much better. Handles the silence, the pacing, just much better. I know they're very different creatures, but I much prefer to Undertone. So yeah, really, really recommend it. Have to say that Nina Kiri does a fantastic job. Adam DeMarco also does a really great job, but it's a little harder because you're just getting the voice. But I also really, really love that this is a horror movie about a podcast, and most of the characters in the movie you never see. And I think that's a brilliant design choice, like a brilliant writing choice, to not show us the people who the audience for this podcast will have never seen. We only see one of them. And I think that's really, really smart. I think their use of darkness, I think the use of kind of low budget special effects. The movie looks great. It doesn't look like a low budget movie by any means. They figured out the cinematography, color grading. Like, it looks like a real ass movie. And really just really fantastic. And the budget, I'm looking at the budget right now, $500,000. This is, I mean, genuinely, that is, as far as movies go, that's nothing. As far as podcasts go, that's everything. That's that's a lifestyle change. But for movies, for $500,000, this is the horror Clerks. So yeah, I really recommend you go check it out. I've talked almost as much about this as the interview, I guess, or maybe about a third. So I'll shut up now. Next episode, I will be answering questions. I have a question about music and Lightning Falls, about reading order. And if you have questions for me that you want me to answer about Weeping Cedars, Samite, Rod of Amber, Lightning Falls, Shards of Amber, any of the letters, the newsletter, Camp Weeping Cedars, which will be coming back in a couple of months, Console, which is an ongoing ARG-ish, not really an ARG, but puzzle-based horror story, or the letters that are showing up in the newsletter that so far no one has commented on. And admittedly, there's probably not a lot there just yet to talk about. But yeah, also, next episode, I will be talking about the final results for the merch survey. So if you haven't seen the merch survey, head on over to the Patreon. It's a free post. You can give your opinion about what kind of Weeping Cedars merch you'd like to see this year. I will say there's already a very clear winner. So unless a bunch of people pop in and really sway things, it seems pretty clear what the winner is going to be. I will do one of these again next year, hopefully, because there have been some really great suggestions for other kinds of merch that were not listed. And then the things that really didn't do well will fall off of the list. Also, there will be a new sticker pack coming out. I was going to announce it today, but I'm not fully done it. So we'll wait till next episode to announce the sticker pack. I think you guys are really going to like this one. I really like it. I'm excited about it. It's probably a little overdue. But there are, of course, plenty of Weeping Cedar stickers already out there. You can find everything from the books to audiobooks to ebooks to the stickers at weepingcedars.com/shop. And I think I already said this, but I'll say it again. If you have any questions for me that you want me to answer on the show, contact at weepingcedars.com. Or you can put them in the comments when this episode goes up on Reddit or Patreon or Discord or Tumblr or wherever you find Weeping Cedars. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Michaela. I hope to have her back. I hope to have everybody back down the line, in a year or two, see what they're up to, where they're going. And maybe she'll have some stuff that she can share with us. So again, thank you all for listening, and I will be back in another 2 weeks or so, I think. So until then, good night, faithful friends.